In the wake of the A-Rod admissions, how large a cloud do you think there is right now over the game?
Well, I don't think it's going to be a huge cloud because I think after 7 or 8 years of this, I think people are used to it. And especially given A-Rod's status in terms of his injury, I think people would really like to get on with the season. I think that the cloud is actually going to come with the names we're hearing, not when we hear the names or when we don't hear about the names.
103 more, possibly the very least.
Absolutely.
All right, Seton Hall University polled over 800 people who were interested and did follow sports. First question we'll take a look at: in which league are steroids most prevalent? And look at this number: 61% saying baseball. Now, in the National Football League, there have been at least 14 PED, performance-enhancing drug suspensions, including HGH in the last 2 years, but almost a 3-to-1 margin there. Baseball captures the fans' minds.
Well, I think the reason for that is there are two things at work here. One, it's the record book, the link between the record book and body sizes in baseball. That is the big thing for me. I think that if you look at a football game between the Chargers and the Dolphins from 1982, the players look much, much bigger today than they did before. However, what you don't have is you don't have 3,000-yard running backs. The difference between the NBA in the 80s and today is stunning. Every basketball player looks cut today. They're all pretty big guys, but you don't have guys averaging 50 points a game. Baseball is different. You have much, much bigger players today than you had before, and you have huge records.
And football does a great job of selling itself, of having the best testing in sports, they claim.
Yeah, and the second part of it is it's the public relations of it. Baseball went kicking and screaming and had to be subpoenaed and the whole thing with Congress, and I think that's the big reason. You can't tell me football doesn't have a drug culture.
Yeah, I know you have a Hall of Fame vote. We put this question to the fans in the poll: Bonds, Clemens, A-Rod, should they be in the Hall of Fame? Now, the margin of error for this entire poll is 3.9%. Barry Bonds, they say no. Roger Clemens, the fans say yes by a margin of 6% outside the margin of error. It is fairly well split for A-Rod. What surprises you there?
Easy to talk about 2 than 3. Roger and Barry Bonds, I think, are going to be in the same class. You're going to have the same type of voters voting for them or not voting for them. I think neither one has played since 2007. They're going to be up in 2013. So that's when you're going to make that decision. I think you're going to have the same voters. A-Rod is still going to play 10 more years. So you could have a kid in high school today voting for Alex Rodriguez when he retires. And so therefore, when you look at it generationally, you're going to have a different type of voter voting for Alex in 2023 when he's eligible.
Well, we've seen an explosion of home runs in baseball over the last 15 years. And we put this question out in the poll: why so many home runs in baseball over the last 15 years? And people in the game will talk about, you've got the smaller fan-friendly parks, you've got mediocre pitching perhaps on back ends of rotations. But look, a majority say it's drugs.
Well, and they say it's drugs, and I think that's also an example of baseball not taking care of itself in terms of the public relations of it. And I think also you have that it always goes back to the record book, and I think that is the reason why people feel so strongly that drugs are as big an issue as they are. But I have to say that baseball over the last 13 or 14 years has gone out of its way to move virtually every element of the game toward more offense.
Offense, and TV ratings, of course, and ticket sales. Biggest problem in the game. We're talking about drugs, but we asked fans exactly which is the largest problem in the game. We gave them a number of choices, and there they go by 40%, saying it's not steroids, and that's tied with affordability down the range there. Player salaries.
Not surprising. Not surprising. I think that would be the same in football and basketball and hockey. I think that especially when you're in an economy like this and people are trying to make the distinction between being able to afford going to a game and the salaries that the players are making, it's not surprising at all that Manny Ramirez getting 2 years and $45 million irks people.
And saying he won in the process. You know, the best stat to look at this year in the season might not be just the hits and whatnot, but it could be the attendance at the bottom as we go through.
Well, that's going to be the big one.